Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee recommending passage of anti-gay bill, Minister for Communications and Digitalization Esla Owusu Ekofo and Tamale Central MP Murtala Mohammed slag it out. In business this evening, stakeholders in advertising heightened calls for the passage of advertising bill into law to regulate the sector. And on the foreign front, suspect in Philadelphia mass shooting charged with 5 counts of murder. We have the details of these and other stories coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thank you so much for your company this evening. One of the members of the Food Suppliers Association who spent the night at the National Buffer Stock Company in protest against non-payments of arrears owed them has been admitted at 37 Military Hospital. The association says it will not relent on its efforts to get the arrears owed them cleared by government. Obed Kingaglu was at the Buffer Stock Company on the second day of the picketing by the food suppliers and has more details in this report.
It's the two of the picketing by the members of the National Food Suppliers Association. Members of the association have vowed heaven and earth not to vacate the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company until they are paid. Yesterday, they slept over here under this tree, under the mercy of the weather, waiting for a response by the company. After spending their first night at the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company at the mercy of the weather with hopes of getting some response from government regarding payment of their arrears, one of their members were taken ill and taken to the 37 Military Hospital. Clad in red handbands, wooden placards, members of the National Food Suppliers Association are demanding government settles the over 2 million cedis debt owed them for over 2 years. 65-year-old Felicia Boatin, who supplies foodstuff to some senior high schools in the Eastern region, says her blood pressure has been high in recent times due to debts she has accumulated from her inability to pay those she sources commodities from.
10 years, but for 4 years, just say, me who say semi wo wiase no. Me who bi da. Na BP ni me so. Me ka say BP aduro nko a me no. Me sati adwuma ye me she last end this year no. Aduro nko a doctor de ma me no. Enti no ka say kufu me kufu do nchen. Na emma Buffer for her, no more minister ho, na emra. Still be as a kesika.
Her situation is no different from GHOne, who supplies foodstuff to senior high schools in the Bono and Bono East regions. She says her creditors are after her.
Yes, Sireno, in Kotogegu form. Yaya Wahana, ya batan, ya jaya maho, ya jaya fee, ya jaya krunumo, and ya betana. Yes, Reno, say, won't you yaka? Na yesu yenkotu yaka foka. Yada yenna, yada yenna. Me ametihui, senne, ewukui, ochina, efiene ya woda. Semenye sikana anko, techima idwemua, emuame.
Engaging the media during the second day of picketing, spokesperson of the National Food Suppliers Association, Kweku Amedome, decried the lack of urgency with which government is handling the matter. Kweku Amedome added that failure by the government to settle the food suppliers will have a negative impact on the free senior high school program.
The buffer stock and the Ministry of Education doesn't seem to be sensitive to our plight. These are aged women and men in this business. That is what they rely on for survival. So if you are keeping this money for 2 years, check the interest rate as we speak. If for 2 years we have not been able to get our monies for the supplies we have done, it means the free SHS is not a success story. They have to
Joining us for a further conversation on this development is Member of Education Committee in Parliament and the Member of Parliament for Akache North Constituency, Honourable Kwesi Notri Kotoi. Thank you so much, sir, for your time this evening.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Right. So let me just pick your thoughts quickly. What is your initial reaction to this entire situation?
Thank you very much. I have said several times that the buffer stock company has been a conduit of corruption in this country, especially in the supply of food items to various senior high schools in the country. I was at the buffer stock this morning to see for myself the ticketing of women and men who had supplied food items to senior high, and this is a wickedness on their part. I'm not happy about it, because if the Minister of Education had paid over 90% of what they owe buffer stock,
want to attribute this challenge to maybe perhaps genuine financial constraints on the part of the Education Ministry?
Hello?
I'm asking that, don't you think that this issue can be attributed to maybe genuine, financial constraints on the part of the Education Ministry?
No. If what the suppliers are saying, that according to the minister, the ministry had paid 90% of what they owed the buffer stock. So what is preventing the buffer stock now from paying the money to the suppliers? So in this case, I don't think it is insufficiency of funds. It's a deliberate action by the buffer stock, especially the CEO, not to pay them. So what I am here to investigate is whether it is true that the buffer stock contracted a loan for which they have used the money to pay, and if they had that authority to contract that loan as a service provider to do so. So the matter has to be investigated. So I think as a minority, we will call for an investigation into the matter so that the truth will be told. Yes.
But on the interim, what do you think are some of the solutions that can be preferred to this entire situation? Because in all of this, the hardest hit are the students or the pupils who benefit from all of these, feeding activities. So what do you think are some of the solutions that can be preferred to mitigate the situation a little bit?
Listening to these women today, I think they are not even providing food again, because they have been sidelined, and CEO of Buffer Stock has engaged new suppliers, so who are paid promptly. So if you have engaged new suppliers, why are you keeping the money of those other suppliers who provided food for the school 2 years ago? That is what we need to investigate and then answer it, give answers to the public to know why they are still holding on to their sums of money that they owe them. Yeah. So in the interim, we will continue to talk to the Minister for Education to confirm whether the Ministry of Education really paid the 90% of whatever they owe to the buffer stock. Yeah. So we'll take it from there from tomorrow and see what we can do. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We hope that these solutions will be implemented as soon as possible. Away from that, the Convention's People's Party has expressed appreciation to the government for refurbishing the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, saying the facility will keep the memory and legacy of the first president of Ghana. The party is, however, unhappy with the choice of the 4th July for the commissioning of the refurbished Memorial Park. According to the party, the event should have been held on the 1st of July, which is a significant date in Ghana's history. Nana Frimpoma Kumankuma is the chairman of the party, and she spoke to the news team.
I have a question, and that's what I want to ask the entire Ghanaian population, especially the youth and everyone, and you, the press, to ask, why the 4th of July? We just celebrated 1st July as the Republic Day, the day that we became a sovereign state. Osajiful's presence here today that you and I are admiring and you and I are acknowledging his great achievement is as a result of being able to get the independence with the Convention People's Party. It's as a result of making us a sovereign state through the Republic on the 1st of July. So that is the only thing I have a problem with, and I don't want to just walk away because I do not want to ignore the significance and the importance of our sovereignty, the significance of the importance of the man that lays here. He is one individual, but it is through his achievement. He is not a person. He is an ideology. He embodies the entire African continent, and for that reason, everything that we do, we must put in that perspective. And therefore, we should not have opened on the 1st of July, which was definitely even a Saturday. Even though the statutory essence has been taken away, it's still a day that we all know is our Republic Day.
Let's head to the Central region now, and a 50-year-old woman has been killed in Asen Dansame in the Asen North district of the Central region. Reports gathered by GHOneNews' Yalboijan revealed that the woman, Esi Jojo, met her untimely death after some unknown men attacked her and butchered her, removing her vagina, heart, anus, and stripped her naked. According to reports, the woman who used to work at a palm oil mill on Wednesday, July 5, 2023 dawn, went to the mill and whilst gathering palm nuts, was attacked by the said unknown men, leading to her death. She was reportedly hit with a machine. Her head was smashed with a cutlass, after which she was dragged about 5 meters away from the farm. It is unclear the reason behind her murder, but eyewitnesses who spoke to GHOneNews' Yalbujan said that it seems the deceased attackers monitored her and killed her at her workplace. The case has been reported to the Asen Praso police and the body of the deceased has been conveyed to the Asen Fosu St. Francis Xavier Hospital mortuary for autopsy and preservation. Away from the Central region, let's head to Tamale now, where the Tamale High Court has convinced Hajia Mohammed Serena and Latifa Bomaye to 12 years in prison over the murder of 90-year-old Ekia Dente at Kafaba in the Savannah region. Ekia Dente was lynched over witchcraft accusations on July 23, 2020. Police arrested 7 people, including the chief of Kafaba community, Seidu Yahaya. Hajia Serena Mohammed and Latifa Bomaye were later arrested at their hideout. The 2 suspects, Hajia Serena Mohammed and Latifa Bomaye, were charged with attempted murder and murder. However, the other accused persons, Haruna Anez, 34, Isafa Tanko, 35, Isafa Sachibu, 32, Shaibu Muntalab, 29, and Suleimana Ali, 35, were acquitted after the Regional Attorney General's Department legally counseled the police to do so. Janet Nabila, the General Secretary and the flag bearer hopeful of the People's National Congress, is pushing for the arrest of additional individuals whom she believes are involved in the heinous murder of 90-year-old Ekia Dente. While acknowledging the efforts made by the police service, she emphasizes the need for the collective action from traditional and religious authorities to address this issue effectively. Furthermore, she is calling for increased support for the Gender Ministry to conduct awareness campaigns and educate the public on such matters. Janet Nabila made these remarks during an interview on GH Today with Lantan Papanko.
It is women who are the hardest hit when we talk about witchcraft. Yeah. People who have never been in that encounter will not know what they are talking about. They will not understand. In fact, when I went to the Gambages witches camp, 96 women were at the camp. look, you see, we are here and we are playing with some of these things. People who are supposed to be held liable for what is happening has to do with our traditional religious leaders.
Right.
I mean, Christians, Muslims, traditional believers. They are the cause of all these things happening in our communities. You see, most pastors who used to be in Kumasi and Accra have now run to the villages. I think we should do more. We need sensitization across the entire villages where witchcraft is rampant. Sensitization, the gender ministry is supposed to be equipped. When people talk, they will say, the gender ministry, they are not doing anything. Have you seen the budget? The gender ministry is handicapped and cannot be able to do this sensitization that they are supposed to do to equip the knowledge of people that this witchcrafting is something that we should not be encouraging. I think that both traditional believers and other people should be added to the is it prosecution?
Yeah.
I'm sad that it's only 2 people because they are more than that. The chief of the town who threw the woman to them should have also been prosecuted for what is for what happened.
Say further on this development, and joining us via phone is Hajia Lamnatu Adam, who is executive director for Song Taba, a women's rights advocacy organization. Thank you so much, Hajia, for your time this evening. Hello, if you can hear me, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Yes, good evening.
Right. So let me just pick your initial reactions to this development.
Except that the line is breaking, I can hardly hear you well.
Well, I hope that you can hear me now.
Yes, please.
Right, so I was asking, what are your initial thoughts or reactions to this development?
Yes, I think that at least for once we have had cases of witchcraft accusations getting serious attention. Oh, there's noise. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so our reaction is that at least the judiciary have done well. We have seen how far this case has gone, although it's been 3 years, but at long last we've had some justice for Madam Ekwia-Dente.
Let me just find out from you quickly. So the persons that were involved in this entire situation were 7. 5 were acquitted, 2 were, found guilty. Do you think that was a fair trial?
Well, we probably needed to have looked at all the other 5, who were not for the trial and question why. Because many times we seem to be looking at just those who are, doing the act, but there were other people who were involved. And that's quite worrying. And that the rest who were also deeply involved were not sent for trial.
Now, finally, so what is your assessment of social protection in this country, especially when it comes to the aged?
Well, I know that there's been serious discussion, the social protection law, on the social protection law, and the need to look at all underserved population, especially also for the aged. There's also the aged bill that we are still looking at. So for me, I think that we need serious attention for the older generation, especially as there are associated health-related issues that affect them. If you look at witchcraft issues and mental health, you can see issues of dementia, you can see issues of menopause, depression, and others, which tend to affect people at the old age differently. And so sometimes also people behave differently, and they may be tempted to think that they probably have some spiritual powers. That is why they are behaving differently.
All
so
right.
I think we need to understand ageism, what it goes with it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Hadia Lamnatu Adams, the Executive Director of Song Taba. You're still watching News Tonight on GHOne Television. We're going for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back from the break. It's still news tonight on GHOne television. Let's move to the judiciary now, as the High Court in Accra, presided over by Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, has ordered the registrar of the court to summon jurors for selection for the trial of Pius Ayoma, a private security man charged with attempted murder and robbery. Ayoma, a cell escapee from the Manette police on March 2nd this year, upon his rearrest, has been remanded into Nsawam's prison custody. Currently, a legal aid lawyer has been assigned to him, despite previously telling the courts that he had a lawyer, but later said he had no legal representation. When the case was called, prosecution led by Mrs. Sefako Bache, a principal state attorney, told the court that per her earlier indication at the last sitting, had felt Let's do insights now.
Insight is brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal for strong teeth and gums and Pepsodent Charcoal for natural whiter teeth.
Parliament has adopted the reports of the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs on the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Guinean Family Values Bill, recommending its passage amidst chaos. Chairman for the committee, Kwame Ayimedu-Entry, in presenting the report, argued the bill has been fine-tuned to conform to the dictates of the Constitution. Here's what ensued in the House.
Chairman of the Constitutional Affairs Committee, Kwame Ayimedu-Entry, in presenting the reports, acknowledged the bill has been worked on to conform with the dictates of the Constitution.
The committee noted that majority of Ghanaians were in favor of the passage of the bill. However, there are significant human rights concerns which are worthy of consideration. Pursuant to Article 12(1) of the Constitution, all organs of the state, including the executive, judiciary, and parliament, have a constitutional duty to respect and uphold the fundamental human rights enshrined under the 1992 Constitution.
Speaker of Parliament, after both sides threw weight behind the bill, asked for any dissenting voice, but no one rose up.
Any honorable member who disagrees with the submissions just made by the Honorable and the Apia Kubi that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
Asawasi MP Muntaka Mubarak described the activities of the LGBTQ plus members as madness. The former minority chief whip questioned why the West is not interested in pushing for recognition of gay rights in Arab countries as much as they do in Africa.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that we are unanimous, but the health implication of this nasty act, Mr. Speaker, cannot be overruled, because we do not have the resources to waste when we are having challenges of today. So many children not even being able to be cared for when they have some other ailment because it's not covered under the health insurance. We cannot add this. And Mr. Speaker, lastly, the sad thing is that you see two people who decide to be lesbian or homosexuals trying to adopt children. Who should go and give birth to his child for you to come and adopt? Look at this madness.
We have been joined by the Communications Officer for Parliamentary Network Africa, Clement Akolo. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Right, so the Speaker has publicly stated during interviews that he will not allow activities of LGBT to be legalized in Ghana, especially under his leadership. Per his position in the Legislative House, one will argue that this will affect proceedings. What is your take on this?
Thank you very much. I think the Speaker was stating his personal position about how he feels about the LGBT issues and how he thinks that the country should handle it. And he's the Speaker of Parliament. So I think at that point in time, he's speaking his mind about how he feels about it. But I don't think that his position is the position necessarily of the whole Parliament or the country.
Right, so what possible amendments is Parliament likely to make regarding this bill?
Regarding this bill that today went through its second reading, and then debate started, debate has ended, now going into its consideration stage. There are a number of proposals that have been made by other people as well as the committee, and the committee is considering all these issues about some of the areas that they think that infringes on the human rights of people who are supposed to be victims, or people who may be caught in the web of the law if it's so passed. So some of these issues are supposed to be dealt with when they come to the consideration stage, which I'm sure is not going to be far from now, since we have already dealt with the debate, and we are looking forward to what will happen to the bill itself when it is tabled before the House for the consideration stage, where they are going to deal with clause by clause issues, and some of the issues that you're talking about will come up.
Let me just quickly find out from you. There are some proponents that have argued that the pace of this bill, or the passage of this bill, has been really slow. We finally have the second reading today. What do you think about the pace? Do you think it's really slow, as some of the proponents are arguing?
You know, this bill is one of the bills that has received a lot of proposals, a lot of input from stakeholders. They have about 200 plus proposals that have come from different interest groups. So you understand why it will take such a long time for the bill to move from the committee stage to Parliament. And today the report was read. So it took a lot of time for even the committee to have a hearing to get the side of each of the people who felt that they had interest in the bill. So it took such a time. But for the intervention of the Speaker himself, who pressed that some of these things should be expedited because it's taking too long. And when bills and things take too long at the committee level, it doesn't give a good picture of the Parliament itself and its processes. So even though it has kept long in coming, I think that the process that they have now taken is actually pushing the bill forward. You know, a lot of the work is done at the committee level. And once the work is done at the committee level, what is left really is not that much. All they have to do is to now look at the clause by clause, and whether they agree or disagree, expunge it out of the bill if they do not want it. And those that they want, they will just accept and then move on. And today, getting the insight from the members of Parliament and from the committee, it appears that almost all the members of Parliament are in unison supporting the bill. So I don't foresee a lot of dragging of feet or difficulties at the consideration stage. So I feel that it's going to be maybe a walk through the park when it gets to the constitution stage.
All right. Thank you so much, Clement Akolo, who is a communications officer for the Parliamentary Network Africa. So Parliament has finally had its second reading for the Committee for the Anti-Gay Bill, which legally is known also as Proper Human Rights Bill, which seeks to protect the culture of Ghana, literally, and we've been speaking to the communications officer of Parliamentary Network Africa, who argues that the pace at which this bill has been taking effect is timely, given the fact that there are so many, proposals with regards to this particular bill. I'm not seeing anything. All seemed calm in Parliament on Wednesday during the debate on the anti-LGBT bill, till Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Murtala Mohammed, reportedly accused Ablekuma West MP Esla Owusu Ekofo of practicing homosexuality. This drew harsh words among other heated exchanges.
And repeatedly heard Honorable refer to me as a practitioner of LGBT, to the hearing of LGBTQ. When you have extension and repeatedly heard with your voice on your broadcast, or you refer to me as a practitioner, when you have to touch me, having sexual intercourse with your wife, as if you are your daughter or your mother, and you sit there and say he is a man. It is only a man. It don't say who refer to
Honorable Minister.
and call ourselves as a honorable members of LGBTQ. When you don't hear it and have you sexual intercourse with your wife, you lost your sense of hearing. Mother.
Honorable Minister.
When you have to touch me, having sexual intercourse with your wife, or your daughter, or your mother,
Honorable
you sit
Minister.
there and refer to me in those terms. In those terms.
Honorable Minister.
And we call ourselves honorable members of this house. When you all hear it and pretend that suddenly you've lost your sense of hearing. But we're all honorable members of Parliament. And with respect to the titles that we bear and the constituencies that we represent, if there's any gesture I made which anyone here finds offensive, I withdraw it. However, let us all also be honest and admit that certain things happen here.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, you cannot ask me to do something and I refuse to do it. Several statements were made by myself and my colleagues, including Honorable Esther Owusu. Which of the statements are you asking me to withdraw?
So, are you inviting me to say what you said?
Well, that is it for Insights this evening on News Tonight. Remember that Insights is proudly in association with Pepsodent, and Pepsodent says it is important to brush your teeth day and night, but of course, Pepsodent. In business this evening, the Advertising Association of Ghana, AAG, has expressed concerns over the prolonged delay in passing the advertising bill into law. According to the association, the passage of this bill is crucial in providing legal backing to prosecute advertisers who violate industry regulations. My colleague Rosemont Akoko Ajite has more in this report.
Speaking to GHOneNews, Andrew Aka, the president of the AAG, explains that the bill, which has been under consideration for approximately a decade, will establish an advertising council responsible for regulating the sector and safeguarding local investment when passed into law.
There's an appeal to all stakeholders that please help to sanitize the entire advertising industry, whether it's billboards that are cluttered all over the place, whether it is false claims by products and all of that. We need this bill, and as a regulatory body, it would help to sanitize. The association is a self-regulated association. We cannot bite because we do not have the law.
Aka further reveals that the advertising industry is a lucrative multi-billion industry, but due to a lack of expertise among leaders, it often receives inadequate attention.
The advertising industry is a multi-million-dollar industry. You'll be surprised the total advertising budget that we have in this country. So it's not but we don't pay attention. If I would say we don't pay attention to the industry because you don't have that many experts in there who are probably in the political circle, so they may not see the real essence of this. We are the expert. We are in this industry. We know the essence and the power of passing this bill, and that's why we're entreating all stakeholders to kindly help us to push this bill through.
The AAG remains hopeful that the bill will soon become law, leading to the implementation of best international practices and effective regulation of the sector's activities.
Well, that is it for the business brief on News Tonight here on GHOne Television. We'll be back after this break. You're welcome back from the break. It's still News Tonight on GHOne Television. It's now time for sports with the beautiful Monica Bukri. Monica, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Vanessa. So in sports, former Express Kotoko boss GHOne Autry has shared his thoughts on the setting up of a new management for Kotoko management. We also have news from the transfer markets all coming up on Sports Brief. Thanks for staying with us. Now, former editor for Kumasi Asante Kotoko Express, GHOne Autry, has proposed to the leadership of Kumasi Asante Kotoko to appoint a board chairman who will double as the chief executive officer CEO of the club for a smooth running of affairs. Speaking exclusively on GH1 Sports on Newsroom earlier this afternoon, GHOne indicated that appointing a board that in turn elects a new CEO will not help the club in executing policies made for the progress of the African continent's biggest club. According to him, regardless of decisions made to appoint a new board and management following the dissolution of the current board ahead of the 2023-24 season, the club needs financial investments for its smooth running.
I would suggest, however, that we should run the executive board or the executive management style, where, for instance, the head of management is also the head of the board, so that there is that cohesion between what the management does and what the board also will do. If we don't go by that, and we're going to have a different management, or let's say a board appointing a management as we have seen in recent years, I do not see how the club will progress. I think there is always relative stability where the head of management comes from the board, and that, for me, should be the arrangement. So we should have that executive board arrangement and expect that things will flow much better. But key to all these things is whether or not the club will have the right or the necessary capital to do the kind of things that we expect, the club to do. Without money, there isn't much you can do, even with the best management structure.
On the transfer market, England international Mason Mount has officially joined Manchester United on a contract running until June 2028 with the year-old midfielder has made 279 club appearances, scoring 58 goals and contributing 53 assists. The Champions League winner was Chelsea's Player of the Year for both 2021 and the 2022 seasons. He has 36 caps for England and played a key role in his country's run to the European Championship final in 2021.
Hi Chelsea fans, Given the speculation over the last 6 months, this may not come as a surprise to you, but it doesn't make it any easier to tell you that I've made the decision to leave Chelsea. I feel you deserve more than just a written statement, so I wanted to tell you directly how grateful I've been for all of your support over the last 18 years. I know some of you won't be happy with my decision, but it's what's right for me at this moment in my career. I joined Chelsea when I was 6 years old, and we've been through a lot together. Winning the Youth Cup, my Player of the Year awards, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, and of course the unforgettable night when we won the Champions League. I want to say thank you to the Academy, Jim and Neil, for being so influential to me from such a young age. The managers I've worked under, Frank, Thomas and Graham. The backroom staff, the unsung heroes of Cobham. All of my teammates over the years that have become my brothers, my family, for the continuous love and support, and most importantly, you guys, for sticking with me throughout. Wish you would.
Mason Mount also had the opportunity to wear Cristiano Ronaldo's jersey number 7. Elsewhere, Carlos Ancelotti has been appointed as the new head coach of Brazil's national team. The Brazilian Football Confederation announced he will first finish his contract with Real Madrid and join the Seleção of Brazil in June 2024 for the Copa America. There are details in the following report.
Carlo Ancelotti is expected team head coach of Brazil for the first time in his coaching career, replacing Tite, who left the position after a quarter-finals defeat to Croatia at the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The 64-year-old Real Madrid manager will take over as Brazil's coach for the Copa America in the United States next summer. Brazilian Football Confederation President Ednaldo Rodrigues confirmed the news while appointing an interim coach for the next 12 months in Fluminense boss Fernando Diniz. Ancelotti has one more season to his contract with the Spanish team, Real Madrid, and the Copa America starts on the 20th of June in the United States of America. Italian has never coached at the international level, but is one of the most decorated coaches in modern-day game, having won 4 Champions Leagues and league titles in each of Europe's top 5 divisions at least once. The closest Ancelotti came to coaching a national team was between 1992 and 1995, when he was an assistant to the legendary Italy manager Arrigo Sacchi. Ancelotti was coming off an incredible career as an AC Milan player when he began his coaching cycle in charge of clubs such as the Red and Blacks, Real Madrid, Chelsea FC, Paris Saint-Germain and more. He leaves Real Madrid after 2 great tenures, during which he managed to win La Liga, UEFA Champions League, Copa del Rey, FIFA Club World Cup and other important titles. Carlo Ancelotti is now tasked with leading Brazil to a 6th World Cup victory, which would cement the Italian as one of the greatest head coaches in history.
That's a beautiful one. Well, that's it for sports. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Monica. Let's do E-Zone now. On his own this evening, Councillor Luch Rhodes has added his 2 cents to the ongoing brouhaha between GHOne Nelson and Sarkodie. The controversial Guinean councillor has said that GHOne Nelson isn't bitter, but she's fooling. According to him, all clues brought to her by her family was rather used as a ridicule. He made this comment during his appearance on the entertainment show on GHOne television, Toast.
In the quest to tell the girl to be careful of your life because I was like you, they tell the girl what is hurting them. And the ladies don't take your advice. They take your pitfall.
Yes.
And want to fight you back from your own word. And that is what Yvonne thinks she is doing to the mother. But the mother is not a celebrity. So what she thinks she's doing to the mother is to go back against her. So a daughter who has been raised in a certain way, with all my sweat. Look, for a woman to say, I want to terminate pregnancy at 6 months. Girl, you don't know what she's going through. All the clues they gave to Yvonne, she brought it as a ridicule in the book.
As a weapon.
As a ridicule. Your mother tells you, yes, George Lutrot is one of the men I think I played with. So Yvonne is not bitter. She's fooling. Quote me everywhere. Oh, Jimmy.
Please.
She's not bitter. Hey, you don't beat the hand that has fed you before. She's fooling. Oh, Jimmy. Listen, social media will go off. Friends will go off. All the people around you, all of us will go off. The only people that will be left behind, which are called the pillar, is the family. And as we speak, you don't know your father.
Let's do some local story this evening now. And 9 out of 10 flag bearer aspirants have so far appeared before the New Patriotic Party's vetting committee since the process commenced on Monday, July 3, 2023, at the party's national campaign office at Kokomlemle in Accra. Day 3 saw exercise economist Dr. Kofi Apraku, former Agric Minister Dr. Ifriya Kutu, former Railways Development Minister Joe Gate, taking turns for a thorough scrutiny by the vetting committee chaired by former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Mike Okwe. My colleague Abdul Hanan Adam has details in this report.
That was the mood when Dr. Kofi Kunido Apreko, an economist and a 3-term member of Parliament for the Offensive North constituency and a former Minister for Trade and Industry under the erstwhile John Kufuor administration, came out after appearing before the vetting committee. Even though he declined speaking to the press after his vetting, Apreko, my daughter, as he is fondly called, is optimistic of winning the race. Then came Dr. Ifriya Kutu, the immediate past Agric Minister, full of confidence to meet the vetting committee.
Doc, how are you?
Very well.
How prepared are you for the exercise?
Oh, well, it's a household domestic matter. So there's no preparation needed.
After about an hour and a half of thorough scrutiny by the Professor Aaron Michael Kwe vetting committee, Dr. Akoto is clear in his mind that he has passed the test and will be chosen by the delegates to deliver the Break the 8 agenda for the party.
The message is going very well with the delegates. They realize that we are very much aware of their situations, and they are very confident that under my leadership, the party will grow stronger and stronger and break the 8 come next year.
Member of Parliament for Esikado Ketan and former Attorney General Joe Gate on his arrival was welcomed by some jubilant supporters. Popularly known as Big Joe, his session lasted 2 hours. He, however, downplayed fears of his opponents being a threat to his aspirations.
I'm not going to spend my time thinking about other candidates. I'm going to spend my time thinking about Joe Gate and the people of Ghana. I'm going to spend my time thinking about what will happen if, by God's grace, on January 7, 2025, I'm sworn in as President of Ghana. I'm going to spend my time thinking about the fact that a teacher's son from nowhere has become president. I'm going to spend my time thinking about the hope it will give to people, to millions of people, millions of Ghanaians who come from homes such as mine.
After day 3 of long hours of vetting, 9 out of 10 aspirants, including Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, former Trade Minister Alan Chermantin, MP for Asin Central Kennedy Agyapong, among others, have so far been vetted since the exercise commenced on Monday. Former MP for Mampong Francis Edei-Nimu is expected to make an appearance on Thursday before the committee submits its report to the National Executive Committee of the party for further action. For GHOne News, Abdul Hanan Adam, NPP National Campaign Office, Kokomlemle.
Well, on that NPP note, that is our bulletin this evening on GHOne Television. Thank you so much for your company. The team is back again at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Do make a date. My name is Vanessa Dance. Have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time